Imagine being a part of a program to put together 1,000 shoeboxes full of supplies for the needy. Now, imagine that was led by 10, 11, 12-year-olds. That's what happened in Canada. We're going to interview Jenni Colwell, one of the top young leader trainers of the whole country. She's going to give us some best practices of how you as parents can develop your young leader's potential. You're going to love this.
Welcome to another edition of Kid Lead Academy Training Series with Dr. Alan E. Nelson, designed to help parents develop their children to lead so they can succeed. And now, here's Alan.
Hey, this is Alan Nelson. I am here with my friend Jenni Colwell, and this is kind of part two of this continued story of some of her best practices, experiences. She was a school teacher and then moved her skills into the church. So for over 15 years, she's been a minister working with children and working with middle schoolers. And now she's a family life pastor of 3 congregations. So she has a lot of experience. Plus, she's mom to 4, been married for almost 30 years, and is about to become a grandma. Can't believe it, right? You look in the mirror and say, I'm way too young for this. But hey, congratulations. It's a wonderful thing. I'm a grandpa twice, so we'll see how many I end up with. But anyway, it's very fun. Hey, in this segment, Jenni, I would like to talk to you and get your wisdom and experience in terms of how parents or others interested in developing kids' leadership potential. What are some of the things you do or have done? Talk to me about the methods or the processes of how you actually teach these kids how to lead.
Well, I mean, I use your curriculum, but I think that I want to give props now to those who coach alongside of me. I think that if in looking back over the 12 years, the people that have come alongside of me to coach these children who are leaders in their own right, in their community, in their workplace, in their home, these people, and many of them have been with me for years. I've been here in my new job for 5.5 years. And, the majority of them have been with me from the beginning. And so I think that, a huge win for me and best practice is getting someone to come alongside of me who is a leader, who is someone who actually enjoys being around this age group. And oftentimes they are parents, but not always. And their contribution is so invaluable. I couldn't, you wrote this, you get this, you understand that the coach's job is probably the most important job, even over the trainer. And so I think that the people that come alongside of me are the ones that really, really have done the hard work of training these young leaders. They really care about them. They really love them. And even when they graduate, there's still connection, right? Because they all attend the same church, and the relationships that have come out of it, and just the trust that they have. We often talk about in Kid Lead that, we want parents to get mentors for their children. And oftentimes these coaches actually become mentors for them. And so I think that's one of the best things that, for me, recruiting the right people to come alongside. And then, of course, we talked about giving them real world opportunities to lead. And so obviously I'm a children's pastor. And so I have lots of opportunities for children to, like these middle schoolers and above, to lead in helping in kids church in so many ways. And they do. And they're fantastic, and they're energetic, and they just love it. It's like you teach kids to lead, but if you don't actually give them opportunity to lead, then what's the point? It's like saying, you've joined the soccer team. We're going to do a whole bunch of drills, but we're actually never going to play a game. That would be ridiculous, right? And so giving
or in Canada, training them to play hockey and never having them play a game.
Yes, it's a big deal here. It's a very big deal. Yeah. So giving them actual experiences to lead, to serve, to feel the weight of leadership in those moments. And so, I've done this for over 12 years now. And so one of the most significant projects that we ever did, and it was really early on, was we partnered with Samaritan's Purse, which is that organization that, packs the shoeboxes for children, and they're shipped all over the world. So at the time, the church I was in, they, were quite connected with Samaritan's Purse. So we got this idea that the leaders in Kid Lead, we coach them through this. They'd make this presentation. They'd go to their principal and vice principal. They had to do this by themselves, unless there was two that went to the same school, which didn't always happen. They'd go to the principal, the vice principal, and oftentimes the principal would make them go to the parent committee. And they'd make this presentation where they wanted their school to be a Samaritan's Purse collection site. And they had this whole scenario where, each grade would collect different things. Like, okay, grade 1, they're all going to bring in toothbrushes. Grade 2 is all going to bring in soap. Grade 3 is all going to bring in boys' toys or girls, and they'd have this scenario, and they'd go, not only when they got permission to do it, they'd go from class to class, and they got to speak to every single class. So they really had to, work on their upfront skills. Yeah. And then they'd pick this day where it was all going to come in, and they'd organize it. And then we would have a giant packing party at the church. And everything that they collected from multiple schools, we would bring it together, we'd sort it. And on a Wednesday night, we'd invite families from the church to come and put it all together in the right age bins and in boxes. And we would pack 1,000 boxes for Samaritan Purse. And it was all led by like 11, 12, and 13-year-olds.
Wow. That is amazing that you let them do that. That's awesome.
And I couldn't even help them. The only thing that I did for them was the class that brought in the most, items for the boxes. I gave them a pizza party. So I'd show up with pizza to that class. That's all I did. I didn't come in the school for any other reason. So they really had to do that. And then, one of the other projects that we did, and actually we still do, is the Lead Well group, which was the high school group where they actually had to lean into doing a real world project. They would put on a princess tea for moms and kids in the community. And they got to be so good at this. We actually gave them a budget. They had to recruit people from the church to help them. They put on a show, they put on a light lunch. They had, where you meet the princesses, they had crafts, they had games, they had everything. And they got so good at this. They would recruit the younger, the Lead Now students, the younger students, to be all like part of their team. And so everybody from both groups helped. They got so good at putting on these princess teas that they would sell out 500 seats in 7 minutes online. Their reputation in the community became so epic that they started having to do multiple seatings of this.
Wow.
And it was amazing. They also helped me with family serve nights when we would serve in the community. I mean, they've led in kids' church as teachers, actors, worship leaders. And, even next weekend, a bunch of them are helping me with this Christmas walkthrough, organizing the craft table for kids that are coming through this Christmas walkthrough. So I've got them serving in a lot of different ways. But I just remember one of the young ladies, she was probably more of the quiet leaders. And she was in charge of recruiting. So she was like recruiting her mom's friends, all this. But I remember the morning of the Princess Tea, and it was her time to lead the meeting with all the volunteers. And she was about 10 minutes before it started, and she came to me and Holly, actually, my colleague that taught the older group, and she said, "I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can stand up and give all these instructions in front of these adults." And we're like, "Yes, you can, Sarah. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it." And she got up there and she rocked it. Again, just another opportunity to say to, she was probably like in grade 9, to say to a young person, you can do this. You've got this. And, thinking about those princess teas, it's interesting because, as I said in our first interview together, one of the reasons that I wanted to lean in and do this program was actually for my own 4 kids. And I want you to know that 2 weekends ago, we still did the princess tea, and my 3 daughters were there leading the way, absolutely rocking it, having done this now for 10 years with me. They're still doing it. I don't even run the princess tea. My oldest daughter does. I just come in, I literally, she bosses me around to actually get to a moment as a parent where you're being led by your own child is a really, like, I mean, in some ways it's humbling, but in other ways it's just so honoring. Because like when Abby, my oldest daughter, when she joined Kid Lead, she was in grade 5. She was 10 years old. And I remember driving with her and her brother, who's a year older, to the church for the first night. And I remember them saying, "Mom, you're just making us do this because, we're the pastor's kids." And I'm just like, "Guys, just trust me on this one." And they got in the car on the way home and they both said, "Mom, we were wrong. This is amazing. Great. We love it." And to watch my own children's leadership ability, I mean, I hear it from so many people. Your kids are great leaders. And I say thank you to the people that have served, to the coaches, to Pastor Holly, my colleague, who trained them on the older one. All of them went through both Lead Now and Lead Well curriculum. And even some of them have come back and they've been fill-in coaches for me because I don't even have to explain the program to them. They get it, right? So I have seen so many, great things happen in the lives of young people and watched them grow and watch them even lead me. And I'm just going to keep doing this because it works. It works. Neat. Yeah.
Jenni, I kid you not, when you were talking about your daughters, I teared up because I know that feeling as a parent when your child now becomes an adult and you can serve them, but in a different way, right? You're one of their team members now. You're no longer the team leader. And that pride you feel. I'm so impressed with you and your kids, but I'm touched when you told me that story. I can't trump that, but let me go back a little bit for the sake of maybe some people who are watching thinking, "Oh yeah, maybe you have amazing kids." But when you talk about coaching, because sometimes we as parents, we confuse parenting with coaching, and you're talking about something else. You're not talking about the coach with a whistle telling, do this and do 20 squats and run faster. You're talking about a different kind of coaching. What do you look for in coaches, and how do you train them? What are the skill sets or the skills they learn to be good coaches as opposed to just be a parent? Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. I think the coaches that I have tapped on the shoulder, for the most part, are excellent listeners. They're not trying to just win the competition. They're trying to teach through failure oftentimes. In fact, I love the times when we actually set them up for failure because you can have those conversations. But I think listening. And I also think coaching is saying, "Hey, I understand what you're going through," and giving a scenario and being vulnerable with their own life experience where they, at times where they failed. Oftentimes when we're doing a little teaching moment, I'll say to the coaches, "Do you have a story you want to tell in this scenario?" And it could be a good story where you did something well, or it could be a story where you failed. And to listen, to hear, to allow the kids to say, "Hey, I can actually learn from this person because they're being vulnerable." And because for weeks and weeks and weeks, they've sat here and listened to me and come alongside of me. And oftentimes, sometimes leaders that we, know are very talkative. I mean, I'm a very talkative person. I can talk anybody under a table, but the listening is so valuable. And to just one of the things that we really talk about as coaches is like, this is not about me in this moment, it's about them. People who are wise that can say, you know, in that good, better, best moment that we have at the end in that coach's minute, they keep track of it. They can see progress. They can walk along with the kids in their progress, and that when they get to the best, you know, they pull out the best in them. One of the things that my coaches do at the end on the last week in the graduation kind of ceremony is they actually do a public, not good, better, best, but they pretty much do a public best. And they talk about some areas they've improved, and they are affirming these children in front of their parents as to how they have improved in those 8 weeks. And those moments, like when they hand the certificate over and they look into their eyes and they tell them where they have succeeded and tell them where they have grown, those are such special moments. Even this semester, one of the little boys in our group, his mom is dying of cancer. And to watch the kids come around them and the coaches coach through those, because that's a real gut-wrenching experience. So when he does come, when he can come, they have rallied around them, and the coaches have really helped students to actually walk this through with him. And it's just amazing to see the care that they give to the kids. I mean, it's like a family. And these kids they're with each other for 2 straight years, but then often on into, you know, we have a student serve program for when they go to high school. And I'm so impressed with these adults who care so deeply and listen and speak into their lives, not in ways that make them feel shamed or, you know, make them cower, but in ways that say, you know what, you got this, and you can do it. And I just think it's just an invaluable thing to have these amazing adults come alongside of us. So
I love those stories and you know, it's the concept of the Pygmalion, where people become as they're treated. And I like that example, those examples you gave of kids that maybe the parents still saw them as a little kid, right? But they step in, they refer to them as a leader, they expect them to take charge, they're listened to, and they rise to that occasion. And I'm thinking of a psychologist I interviewed one time. He's the author of Teen 2.0. And he said a lot of rebellion we see in our culture today is because we infantilize our kids. We treat them like infants, and they rebel against that. And I think, again, we as parents were well intended, but many times we actually do ourselves and our kids a disservice by treating them younger than they are or lower ability than they really are. And I love your stories of how people with the right skill set can see these kids blossom and bloom and turn into things that probably some of the parents are saying, oh my gosh, is that my kid? I can't believe they've done that. So Jenni, you are an amazing person. You've done so many things, but I think the best thing is you're changing your church one leader at a time. You're changing Langley one leader at a time. You're changing Canada one leader at a time. And I love the longitudinal view you have. You're not just, you know, seeing as a program, but you're seeing lives change and how those lives now are changing others. So you are a hero of mine, and you have done this year after year after year for so long. And I just applaud you. So thank you for sharing some of your wisdom. I'm sure we'll be tapping it further in the future, but I applaud you and congratulate you for about to become a grandparent. Yay.
thank you.
So thank you for your time, and we're excited to see what the future has for both of us.
Thank you, Alan. It was great to be here.
Thank you.